Welcome back to Tam's Classy Creations, the channel where we break down projects so even a beginner can do it. Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. Today is my second video of my Christmas series, Last Minute DIY Gift Ideas, Day 11. We're going to be making pajama pants, and who doesn't love pajama pants? Most people would think making pajama pants would be difficult, but I'm going to show you just how easy it is. I'll also give you some fabric ideas that will take your pajamas to the next level. Before we get started, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. Thanks for being here with me today. Let's get into it. The supplies we need for the PJs. Of course, we need a pattern, and I'm using B6404 See and Sew, and I bought this many years ago. There's lots of patterns out. We'll need a ruler. We'll need 3/4 inch wide non-roll elastic. We'll need a tape measure, scissors, pins, clips, thread, and I need a lint roller for mine. Now, for fabrics, I try to make my grandson different PJs every year, and I'm going to try this one. He loves dinosaurs. I try to do something he likes, but I've never made him these really soft, and it's almost a minky kind of fabric. And it's 60 wide, so it's kind of nice. But I've made him pajamas out of many things. I've used quilt cotton, I've used a jersey that makes really nice ones. And I've made him many flannels. And here is glow-in-the-dark flannel that I think would be really cute. And then when I was looking for more fabrics, I saw this. I've made him fleece. He's not as crazy about the fleece. It's a little thick for him. But here is a lightweight fleece. It feels more like a thin flannel, but it has the fleece characteristics. So I think this is going to be a new thing I'm going to try. Now, right now, Joann's doesn't have many kinds, but I'm going to look more for this thin fleece. Now, one of the things in making pajamas, they do have a flame resistant spray that you can use. It's no burn fabric fire protection, and you can get that on Amazon. So if you're making PJs for young ones, you might want to do that. Now, these pajama pants are the easiest thing you can make. I do teach it in sewing, and you usually cut out 2 fronts and 2 backs with your material folded. Now, this was really wide, so they could go side by side. The only thing you need to do is watch your grain line and make sure that your grain line is straight, that it is even distance from the edge of your fabric on both the top and bottom. And as you see, my pattern is quite used. I've put tape on it, and I said I actually made it just a little bit bigger than an 8. So now let's look at the pattern instructions. You couldn't get any easier. There are about 8 things. It starts here. So the first thing we're going to do is take, number 1 says pin front to back at interleg, stitch in double stitched seam, press seam open toward back. So see, we're going to take, and it's 6 and 7. 6 is the front and 7 is the back, which I have right here. So the inner leg is here. We're going to take 1 front and 1 back, and we're going to stitch it. Now, this seam, it says a double stitch. This is what they're talking about. A double stitch is first your 5/8 inch seam and then another seam right next to it. And then what you're going to do is trim it real close to the seam, like that. The other option you have is to do your 5/8 inch seam and do some kind of zigzag on the 1/4 inch over, like that. So also you want to clip it, and you'd probably want to do the zigzag stitch if it was a little more fray material. Well, as you see already over this, I have all kinds of stuff from this fabric. The other option, it does say or serge. So I'm actually gonna serge my seams. And this is what my seams will look like, so that I won't lose all this stuff. And it looks really nice serged. And it will be a really small seam, which will be quite the same, except I won't have that raw edge where I'm gonna lose stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna take this apart and we're gonna pin the front legs to the back legs with right sides together. And then we're gonna take it to the machine and stitch a 5/8 inch, which I will be using my serger. Now we have stitched those seams. Remember, the front to the back, we've stitched the inner leg. And about the only thing you could do wrong is stitch the two fronts together. So that's about the only one that would fit. So make sure again that you have stitched the front to the back, and the back will always be a little bit bigger, so that's how you can tell. So now once we've stitched the two inner seams, we're going to do the next step on the pattern, and it is stitch crotch seam in double stitch seam, press seam to one side. So again, it tells you to stitch the 5/8 and then stitch a 1/4 inch from that and cut it. So again, I'm going to do the serger. So I'm going to put right sides together on the crotch seam, and that is the crotch seam, the top part of the pajama pants. So we're going to put right sides together, and we're going to make sure the seams line up, and the top and bottom. I'm going to put a few pins in there, and then I'm going to stitch, and we can even line up our marks that when we cut our pattern out. So I'm going to stitch here to here, the crotch seams, and I'm going to do that on my serger. So now that we have our crotch sewed, and we can look and make sure we lined up our seams, and we have our seams all lined up, so they should fit pretty well. Now, the next step on our directions says to stitch front and back at sides in double stitch seams again, and then press seams toward back. So this is the easy, and this we find, remember, right sides together, the front and the back, and it'll all fit. So now, we are going to stitch the two side seams all the way down on both sides. I'll put a few pins in, and then I am going to serge it. But again, if you're sewing it, sew a 5/8 inch seam, then a 1/4 inch next to that, and we'll cut it off. Okay, now that we have our side seams done, let's turn our pajama pants right side out. Now basically we have a hem and our casing with our elastic in the top. So let's read what the directions say to do next. For easier insertion of elastic, baste about 3 inches of seam allowances in place at casing area. So that means at your seams, you're going to baste 3 inches down. So what they want to happen is, so this seam lays flat, so when your elastic's in there, it won't come up and make it harder to insert the elastic. So you want to do that at your seams. And the next step would be to form the casing. Turn upper edge of pants to inside along fold line, turning in 1/4 inch at raw edge. Press, stitch lower edge, leaving an opening to insert the elastic. So we're supposed to turn under 1/4 inch, and then what the pattern told you, which I do a little bit more than 3/4 inch. We have 3/4 inch elastic, so I'm gonna make my stitch just a little bit longer than that. But in serging, I am just gonna serge the edge so I don't have that bulk, because even though it's a minky and soft, it is still a little thick. Plus, I need to finish that edge so that I don't have this lint stuff all over, like it's all over. So what I'm gonna do is go serge my top and get it ready for the elastic, and I'm going to stitch those down on my sewing machine, and then we'll turn it over and I'll be back and show you how I do that. And while I'm at the serger, I'm actually going to serge the bottom of the pajama pants, because I'm going to do the hem the same way. So now we're going to pin the top. I have also stitched my serge seams down, so it'll be really easy. There'll be nothing to hold up the elastic. Now I'm using 3/4 inch, and this is fuzzy material, so I need to probably fold it down about 1 inch, and I plan on stitching right at the top of the serge seam. So if I see, let me see, at 1 inch, I think that'll go in there pretty good. You don't want it too loose, but then you want to be able to get it through. So what we do is we're going to pin this down all around the top waist, and I leave an opening about, so I have it all pinned, and I leave an opening a couple inches, and I usually leave it in the back, and that is how we're going to get the elastic in. So I back stitch, go all the way around, and when I come back to here, I back stitch. So then we'll insert the elastic. Now, if you were doing the pattern and folding it down, don't forget you would have 1/4 inch down and using the size of your elastic, and you would just be stitching it down at the bottom, and you would still leave your opening. Next, the directions say to cut a piece of elastic, a comfortable waist measurement plus 1 inch. Insert elastic through opening, lap ends, hold with safety pin, try on and adjust if necessary. Stitch ends of elastic securely. So on my pattern, I had 21 inches was his measurement before, so I cut 24 inches, and I've put a pin in it, and we're going to insert it in the hole. Now our pajamas start looking like pajamas with the elastic in. Make sure this end stays out. Now you want to, the pattern says to pin this and tuck it in and make sure they fit. So I believe these are going to fit, so I'm going to go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to pull this back out. we're going to stitch all over the waistband so that this never breaks. I'm going to stitch down, back, back, down, back, back, and kind of in the middle. So we're going to stitch it so it never breaks, and then we'll put it inside and we'll stitch that little opening we have. Here's how I sew it. I just make sure it's not going to come apart. And then you put it in the pants and you'll stitch this. Now I'm going to wait until my grandson tries them on before I'm going to stitch that. And the next step is the hem. Turn up pant hem, base close to fold, turn in 1/4 inch on raw edge, baste hem in place, close to upper edge, press. So again, just like the waistband, they want you to fold it up 1/4 inch and then however much you need for the hem. But again, I don't want the bulk in this, and I use the serger, so I will turn it up and I'll just stitch it along here just like I did on the waistband. But I'm going to wait till he gets here at Christmas to see how long they are, because I did cut them out longer than the pattern I wanted, more than the 8, so I'm not quite sure. So one last thing I do when this is all done, I got this pretty good. You don't want the elastic too tight, but you don't want it too loose. So this is, I got it pretty good. Now the front is always smaller, so we have the back here. So we got to turn it this way. One of the things I like to do, because he never knows what the front and back is, what I do is I take a piece of twill tape or something, I'll write his name on it, and I will move the elastic a little bit and I'll stitch it down in the back so he knows. I folded the edges up and I'll stitch back and forth there, back and forth here. And I write his name and I use my iron and set the ink so it doesn't come off. So he knows the back. That's really important for the kids' pajamas. So that's how easy it is to make a pajama pant. And don't forget, you can use that flame retardant. That's all I have for the second video of my Christmas series. The next video is going to be quite lovey. It'll make more sense after you see the video. But if you have any little ones, you'll have to see day 10. Now you can confidently make some pajama pants for your loved ones. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments. See you in the next video.